name is Ray, and I'm from Carleton College. I'm a sociology anthropology major. And last fall term, I studied abroad in the SIT Human Rights Program, and we went to the U.S., Chile, Jordan, and Nepal. In these locations, I conducted a research on the impact of homelessness on physical health. But today, I'm actually going to present my findings first briefly, and then share with you some of the stories and memories I have from doing this research, because I enjoyed the process so much more than the result. So, to start off, the findings. So the first location I chose was New York. And in New York, the homeless population were largely subject to police brutality, and their health is also hindered by the affordable cost of healthcare. And finally, there's the concept of creative living, where people adapt unoccupied housing into their own living spaces. And then in Santiago, the biggest factor that influenced people's health was the lack of awareness about health. So, for example, people are not aware of healthy lifestyle or how to deal with illnesses or diseases when they come to them. And secondly, there's also the discrepancy between the demand and the supply in the healthcare. So even when people try to seek assistance, they're not necessarily able to find it. And finally, in Kathmandu, so instead of individuals living on the streets in Kathmandu, the homeless population live in slum communities, and they're called squatters. And when they fall ill, they resort to this common sense called illness treatments. And finally, there's a very interesting phenomenon of women in the homeless population, because as I observed, they're the majority, but they suffer the most from sanitation and health issues, and also sexual assaults. So during the long process of research, there were several distinct memories that particularly stayed with me and will keep influencing me in my future research or career efforts. And I want to share some of the stories with you. And the first one came from New York, where we're visiting a nonprofit organization called Picture the Homeless. And it's an organization dedicated to organizing the homeless people. And when we went there with a couple other students. And when we walked into the meeting room, there was a young man, an African-American man in the room. And he was tall and skinny, wearing a loose green t-shirt. And we started a discussion with him, talking about, first of all, how he got involved in this organization. And as he told us, he stumbled upon one of their meetings. And one of the sentences he used to describe the meetings really struck me. He said, there are people like me, there are people like you guys, and at the time he was talking to us, the people he calls you guys, and we're circling him, asking him questions, and staring at him, and that particular scene just really stayed with me, and immediately I just recognized this divide between us as students, especially participants in off-campus programs, and him as a homeless person, as a volunteer in the organization, and as my potential research subjects, the people who I'm trying to get to know more about, and get to ask questions with. So this divide really underlies my future, the rest part of my research, because these are people whose life path I seldom cross with, and yet I am trying to make a conscious effort to really get closer to them, regardless of how close I will be able to get. So this is also shaped part of my personal journey in this research, because what really underlied this research, what really motivated me to follow through was my passion for economic justice, and I don't think I'll be able to understand this matter very deeply without knowing how it manifests on people. So this curiosity for interpersonal communication and the intersection with economic justice is something I'm really interested in, and I think this particular memory just informed me so much in terms of my passion in this. And then, if you have noticed, because we went to 4 locations, but in my research there were only 3, and one country that's missing from my final result was Jordan. And it was not because I did not conduct any research in Jordan. It was actually much more complicated, and I think I was actually more interested in what I did in Jordan than, for example, in US and Chile, because it was just a very rare dynamic that I wouldn't normally encounter. So in Jordan, I really didn't see any homeless people on the streets, and that was the first thing that I noticed that I feel like I would have to investigate into. So one day we had this opportunity to go to this organization that helps secure housing for Palestinian refugees. So a group of us went, and there was this volunteer who greeted us and helped us answer our questions. She was a woman. She was very short, but she was very enthusiastic about the work she's doing in the organization, about the people she's working with. So first I tried to ask her about how she secured housing for these refugees and whether she has encountered any problems in these, such as the emergent situations that might arise in the process. And for every question I asked, she managed to really give a perfect answer of how she would eventually be able to solve the problem almost impeccably. So eventually I just went straight forward and asked her, are there any homeless people in Jordan? And immediately she started laughing. And she said, homeless people? No, there are no homeless people. And this is also, it really came up as a surprise to me. Not necessarily because it helped me answer the question of whether there is homeless people in Jordan or not, because I'm not able to just extrapolate from what she said and either say that there is no homeless people in Jordan or think of it as a mere denial of a social phenomenon. But that really got me thinking of the concept of homelessness, how it's understood among people, how it's constructed, and all the social and cultural complications that can come into this concept. So this very topic that I spent months, I spent an entire semester investigating is just already went beyond my scope of understanding at first. So I think this is also a very informative moment in my entire research. Just thinking about how people understand these issues and how I, as a researcher, as a student, will be able to deal with this, navigate this. So to sum up, to bring it back to research, I think that for my future academic or career, of course there will be other opportunities or other moments where I will have to connect with people and communicate with them and try to know their stories. And in research, we always try to, at least before I went on the program, I always try to be objective and try to get the facts. But actually now I think that emotions is a very intrinsic and important part of research, and there's no way to get around it other than embracing it. Thank you.